Good rising, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. I am Tayla Andre. Waking Up with Tayla Andre has absolutely nothing to do with the time of day we link up, but about waking up your third eye with unorthodox conversations leading to universal consciousness. So for those who don't know, yesterday was the first day that we went live on Spark FM. And so I just wanted to introduce myself. I am Tayla Andre, radio rebel. I say what I want to say, how I want to say it, when I want to say it. My feelings is my feelings, and I represent nobody but myself. I'm not bought. I'm not paid for. I say what a lot of people refuse or can't say. And so with that being said, that's the radio rebel. Danielle and I started working together many moons ago at another location in another space and time. And I am so proud of how far she has come, all of her accomplishments, making Spark FM possible. Super appreciative for the opportunity. And yesterday was not the first show, but it was the first time that we went live on Spark FM. And so I just there was no real introduction yesterday on Spark FM. So I just wanted to say, hey, Pooh, how you doing? I am Tayla Andre. So waking up with Tayla Andre has nothing to do with the time or day we wake up. It's not about waking up because the show is in the rising. It has nothing to do with that. It's about waking up your third eye with unorthodox conversations. What does that mean? That means having conversations that we typically don't have, that we tend to avoid as humans, as people, and understanding that we can agree to disagree and come to a mutual understanding that, you have your opinion, I have mine, let's leave it there. Yesterday, I had a really high, but I also had experienced a really low. So I indulge in transparency where I tell you guys my honest feelings about situations in real life, and I make myself look bad on a regular basis because this is how we work through things as humans. And we have never, and I say we as lower income people of color, West Indians, we don't believe in counseling. And so this is my form of self-counseling by talking to others, your opinions, your comments. This is self-healing in a sense, peer-to-peer self-healing, self-counseling, peer-to-peer coaching. And so I hold you accountable. You hold me accountable. I voted. Hopefully you did or will go vote today, regardless of who you vote for. Let me tell you, there were 2 people on the ballot that I did not vote for. So what I did was I colored in a little bubble and I wrote myself in. I'm still going to utilize my vote. I don't have to vote for who you want me to vote for. You feel me? So you don't necessarily have to vote for someone. Write yourself in. But yes, our ancestors, those Black and brown people and ladies, once upon a time, we had no right to vote. So I utilized my opportunity as often as possible. So I am what is considered a super voter. And a super voter is someone who votes regardless. Regular voters are people who just vote for the president. I'm a super voter. I vote for city councilors, senators, everyone. I vote for everyone that's Black. No, because skin folk ain't really kinfolk all the time. And so Uncle Ruckus was a skin folk, but he was not a kinfolk. So, sometimes you just have to vote yourself in. And that's absolutely what I did today. So yesterday's low, I would like to share with you yesterday's low because it really hurt my feelings and it had me thinking. And that's why today's topic is about complaining. And so I am Cape Verdean American. My father is a Black American, last name Moore, once you get down to the history of who we are. And my children are Haitian, and my youngest son is Dominican and Puerto Rican. And so I am a child of the world. Tayla, what's your nationality? Everything. You think I'm joking? I'm so serious. I am everything. I am everything when it comes to eating the food. I am everything when it comes to the music. I am every culture every day. And I love it. It's who we are. And so Yesterday, I got home and the children went to school. They attend Edward Brook Charter School. We'll have a complete conversation on education another day. But while they went to go pick up their supplies for school, they called me and I was in an interview. And so they had to call their father and call a lift to get home because the boxes were so heavy. Mind you, Anari's box was light, but Asaria's box was 35 pounds. And she was like, Mommy, I'm not carrying this on the bus. Can you please call a lift? And so her father called her a lift and they got home. I got home and I was annoyed. So I had to go back and reread the email. And in the email, it said, boxes could have, a calculator, an ID, notebooks, and whatever book based on the curriculum and classes that they have. And so for Asaria's box to be 35 pounds and Ari's box to be about 15 pounds, I'm thinking to myself, why in the email was it not communicated that, come Uber ready? These boxes could be heavy. And so even though it wasn't an issue for me and it wasn't an issue for my children, I'm thinking about the other parents. I'm thinking about parents that are traveling from East Boston, taking a train, taking the trolley, taking a bus, and then having to walk down American Legion to get to the school. And so Edward Brook Charter School is on American Legion. And from American Legion, a lot of the buses that go to where people are trying to get to are on Blue Hill Ave. That walk, I'm a fat girl. I know my limitations. Being a fat girl, I'm out of breath by the time we get to Blue Hill Ave, let alone having to carry baby Rain, which is approximately 35 pounds, to Blue Hill Ave. And so I got irate. I did a whole post about it, made a whole video. And in the video, my kids are like, yo, you're blowing it up. Don't call the school. You over exaggerating. You always do this. Asaria said, you want to call the school. You want to call the government. You want to call, you want to call all these people for what? Just relax and don't make a big deal out of it. But even though it was not a problem for my children, I see how it could be an issue for a disabled parent or someone who can't lift 35, whatever the issue is. You think you're going to get an ID and some notebooks and you end up coming out with a 35-pound box. Just properly inform me of these things. And so the comment, so that wasn't even the kicker, right? So the kicker for me was, all these comments are, you should be lucky. You should be happy. You should be glad. Oh, your kids get free school supplies. You should be blessed. You're over here complaining about the things that people wish they had. People wish they had access to. And they're not even talking about, third world countries. They're talking about, so my sister lives in Plymouth. My sister's like, listen, as a parent of 3 children in school, I have to go out and buy their school supplies. You're lucky that the school supplies the children whatever it is that they need. And that right there is what enraged me. And the reason why I was so enraged is because why are we happy with the bare minimum? I'm just happy that Massa don't beat me. I'm just happy that Massa don't rape me. I'm just happy Massa feeds me. Nah. Why am I okay and accepting of the bare minimum? I pay my taxes. My sister pays her taxes. All of these parents pay their taxes. The teachers should not be coming out of pocket for these tissues and notebooks and hand sanitizers. Why are we the people paying taxes if that's the case? No, seriously. Why are we happy with the bare minimum? This is not a third world country. We are the United States of America. We are branded that we are the greatest in the world, superpower. But yet I need to be happy that my school is doing what they're supposed to do. Shout out to my cousin Fat Cat, because he said, baby, we don't applaud fish for swimming. So I'm supposed to applaud you for doing what you're supposed to do. I'm supposed to be happy because you did what you were supposed to do. And it really made me think, after my children held me accountable, after all of these comments about how ungrateful I am, it really made me think, do I complain too much? And again, it wasn't even my complaint. I didn't have a valid complaint. My kids were home with their box, but I understand that other parents, like that's where the empathy comes from. That's where the compassion comes from. That's where the, it's not all about me comes from, because there's other parents out there that could have been communicated with so they could make proper arrangements for this 35-pound damn box. And so going back, Cape Verdean American, Black American, Haitian household, Dominican, Puerto Rican household. All right. And then my best friend's Jamaican. So I'm in all of these different pots of melanin, and everywhere is always the mama, the woman. And I'm thinking, like, where did we get this thing? When I come home and my house isn't clean, they already know I'm about to go in. Complain. Mommy, all you do is complain. All you do is complain. But is my complaint valid, though? Do we as a people complain too much? And then I'm over here going down this rabbit hole. Like, once upon a time, it made me think about the Boondocks. In the Boondocks, when Granddad was talking about the slave under the tree complaining about Massa, and then Massa came and was like whipping him because he was complaining, and it was just like, I dare you not to laugh. And it was funny, right? Or it was kind of funny. It just, for me, it's like, what is the difference, or where is the fine line between a valid complaint and just complaining just to complain? Like, where is that line? A lot of y'all watching, a lot of y'all listening have West Indian mothers, have Black mamas. They complain about everything. You bring home a B, that she wondering why you didn't have an A. You bring home a 98, she wondering where the 100 at. Why you didn't get 102? You should have got the extra points, the extra credit. Like, if the dishes are done, why you didn't wipe down the sink? If the laundry is completed, why you didn't put it in your closet the right way? Like, and then men don't ever complain about nothing, right? Or some, let me be clear, some men are not complainers. And so I want to have an honest conversation. Like, do you complain too much, or do you make valid statements? And where is that fine line? Where is it? Because I want to know, do I complain? And it wasn't even me complaining, though. I was just making a statement on behalf of other parents. Or that's what I tell myself to make me feel better about complaining too much. But my children did say that I complain way too much. I complain about the dishes. I complain about the laundry. I complain about the floor not being swept and mopped. Those aren't complaints. Do what you're supposed to do. Paula said, good rising. I agree. I was a teacher years ago and spent so much money to plan my curriculum and extras for my students. Plus, as parents, I've spent a lot. Where does the school's district budget pay for what our children need? Front said, as an educator, I can confirm that we are always coming out of pocket, then fighting to get some sort of reimbursement. We don't see the budget and extra money. It's out of pocket expenses and our bills. It's hard. And so for me, for Paula and France, for me, the thing that annoys me is, why should we applaud fish for swimming? If you can't provide my children with the school supplies that they need, then give me my tax dollars back and I'll buy it myself. Give me my tax dollars back and I'll make sure my child has everything they need. Like, it, for me, if you go to your job, right? You go to your job and they want you to do a job, but then they tell you listen, I'm not an entrepreneur. This ain't multi-level marketing. Is this Amway? I got to buy my own supplies. Like, what other job other than a teacher? Basketball players got to bring their own balls. Like, for real, unless it's an entrepreneur, show me. And even like contractors have to buy their tools. They get to write that off at the end of the year, and then they get reimbursed depending on the company that they're with. As far as their boots are concerned, their hard hat is concerned, that's all part of the budget that they get. When you take a look at the post office have to wear their uniform, and those post office uniforms are mind you, they still get the same amount of money that they've been getting for like the last 10 years. It's been a minimum increase of like $3, I think. I have family members that work in the post office. That's the only reason why I know that. But postal workers get reimbursed for their shirts or their shorts or whatever it is that they wear in order to identify themselves. Police officers, when they have to purchase their boots, their shirts, like they get reimbursed for all of that. So why do we expect our educators, the ones that mold the children that are going to become our tax dollars? Okay. Whew. So yesterday we briefly went through Tayla's 10-point plan on how to better police all of us. And I also have a 10-point plan when it comes to for me, right? I truly believe that when it comes to education, we should be using COVID-19 as a way to completely reinvent how we educate our children. And so when we take a look at education in the system and we're like, you know what, if you can't read by the 3rd grade, we're going to put you in jail. And we're going to build jails based on whether or not you can read by the 3rd grade. And it's like, that sounds a little ass backwards, because if the government makes money off of the more people that pay taxes, don't you want your workforce to make more money so you can tax them more? Like that, for me, I'm sorry, that seems like common sense. And I'm just wondering if common sense is common, because that seems like it makes sense. If I make money based on how much money you make, but if you make too much, you get all these tax exemptions, so I don't get no money, right? But if you make $30,000, I only get $13,000. But if you make $300,000, I get $30,000. Why would I want you to make $30,000? So taking that idea and saying, all right, why don't we educate people so that they do make more money? Why don't we properly educate so when they do grow up and, the futures, the stock, in the future, you're going to make us more money because we educated you properly, and so we're going to make more money. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Direct me. Take me down to recourse. I'm willing to learn. If this doesn't make sense, if I'm talking out of my ass, correct me. Point fingers. Tayla, you're wrong. No, that's not the way it works. But right now, COVID-19, and even last year when COVID-19 hit in March, we knew that school was going to end early. We had no idea when it was going to end early. When we sent everybody home and said, listen, no more school, no more working, everybody go home and shelter in place. At that moment, we as the state of Massachusetts, and I'm only going to say Massachusetts, you know what? I'm even going to minimize that to the Boston. We as Boston are going to take this time to revolutionize what education looks like. Not like, oh, let's just put everybody on Zoom. No, let's sit down and reimagine what education could be. So all of this time while we were like, I don't know if I could say pussyfoot, like being slow about something, like this whole time while we were being slow about this whole time, like, oh, we can't do this because bureaucracy and you have politics and you got to do everything slow and steady and you can't have rapid change. Like at this moment, that should have been the rapid change. That should have been the turn. Like, listen, we're stopping everything. Whatever your grade is now, we have a sliding scale. If you have a D, you pass. Everyone passed, period. Like everyone just passed. There was no grade. You didn't get A, B, C, D. Everyone just passed. We're going to stop right here in our tracks. Let's take a look at what's working. Let's take a look at what's not working. Let's take a look at what we can fix, and let's take a look at what we can't fix and figure out how we can create a solution. At that moment when COVID-19 hit, in March, instead of throwing everybody on a damn Zoom, that's when we should reimagine education. And if you want to talk about my 10-point plan for education, baby, we could talk about it, because we know that there are learning styles. We know that people learn differently. We know that Tayla is a visual learner. We know that Anari is hands-on. We know that Asaria can read a book and then put together, like, all she needs is words. And so knowing that this is how people learn, why are we not tailoring how we teach to how people learn? We are still using the same system that we were using back when we just wanted everyone to work in factories. Not everyone's going to work in factories. And if we're having, an honest 10-point plan when it comes to education, we have some of the best colleges here in Massachusetts, specifically in Boston. Why is every school, college that is not paying taxes, because they don't pay taxes, they're an institution. Schools, hospitals, churches do not pay taxes on the land that they use. And schools and hospitals utilize more than 50% of Boston land, yet 50% of Boston land is not being taxed. There's this thing called in lieu of tax, where they're supposed to pay into this pool 10% of what they would be paying if they were actually paying taxes. Many of these schools, based on research that was done, do not pay their in lieu of tax. Hospitals do not pay their in lieu of tax. And yet they also don't give back to society they don't give back to Boston at all as far as resources. So that's fine. You don't pay no taxes. You don't pay no in lieu of taxes. You don't do what your fiduciary obligation is not fulfilled. And we just let you do it. You continue to make millions. Granted, now is COVID. And so now all of a sudden we have all of this empathy for all of these institutions that made billions of dollars over the years. But okay, let's pretend that doesn't exist. Why are we not mandating? And I'm speaking to the city councilors, I'm speaking to the state reps, I'm speaking to like the Congress, I'm speaking to everybody who has political affluence in the city of Boston. Why are we not holding accountable the schools, the institutions, and the hospitals to have some form of partnership with 126 schools that we have? I believe it's 126 schools for the city of Boston. I really do feel like it's 156, but I feel like that's an overreach. Anyways, we have enough schools, we have enough colleges, we have enough hospitals. We know for a fact, or studies have told us, that in the next 20 years, we're going to have a shortage of nurses. A lot of the nurses are elders or will be our elders in 20 years. And so we are going to have a shortage of nurses. Why is the city of Boston not taking this and don't just report on it, don't just acknowledge it? Like, what the hell are you going to do with the information? And for me, it's like, so why are we not partnering the schools with a college, or partnering the hospital with a high school? So that way, when these babies come out of high school, they already have every prerequisite. They were already interns. They know how a hospital works. They can do billing and coding. And it's because they learned it in high school. So when they come out, you're saving money for families paying for the price of college, because the school already absorbed that cost, or the hospital already absorbed that cost, because they're not paying taxes. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this just seems like common sense. Again, so we know some people learn differently. How are we tailoring, and why are we not taking this amazing opportunity to reimagine what education looks like and how we can do it differently? I'll wait. Questions, comments, corrections. Correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm, speaking hypothetically and wishing and praying for things that, Taylor, that is not a real thing. It can't happen, and this is why. Paula said, "You're not complaining. You're a working mom." We can't even claim those expenses on our tax returns, as far as like educators being able to claim some of these things. That whatever it is that they purchase, teachers can't claim them on their taxes, while other professions are able to claim like can claim their boots and hard hats or uniforms and whatever their tools, whatever it is that they need to do a job, they get to claim that on their tax returns, but teachers don't get to claim it on their tax returns, yet they have to come out of pocket when there's tax-paying citizens that should be paying for you to do the right thing. Like, what are my taxes actually paying for? I think it's 78% of the school budget is simply on paying teachers. And I am not saying teachers need to be paid less. If anything, y'all need to be paid double, because during COVID, we have experienced what it looks like to be with our kids all day. And we just want to say thank you. I just want to say thank you. These little, my nerves. I don't know how you do it all day. And you don't just have my two annoying. You got another 30 other because your classroom's overfilled. So how are we like, rabbit hole. Let's see if we can get Jessica Tang in the building and a couple other hierarchy educational people so we can have a real, I did. I promise I did. Danielle, I see you. I'm going to do it again. How about now? How about that? I stopped it and started it. Did it work? And so France said, schools are cheap. I work in one of the wealthiest towns in Massachusetts and still work 2 or 3 jobs. The system is built on making sure there is a cheap labor always available for their profits. The whole system is being reimagined because they thought it was only going to be for 2 weeks. Also, most schools are teaching children how to take tests. I know that's right. We could talk about the core. We could talk about the MCAS all day, baby. Some schools have partnerships with hospitals. BDEA does a program where they have their students get experience in the medical field. Absolutely, this makes sense. A lot of project-based learning happening at BDEA. Baby, educate me, BDEA. BDEA. Beth Israel? Is that Beth Israel? I don't know. Educate me, tell me. And then if this is like one school, then help me understand like why more schools aren't doing it. And not just more schools aren't doing it. Why are we not forcing? Force. I said it. Why are we not forcing schools and hospitals? Like, this is what you have to do. It's not either you're going to pay these full taxes or you're going to partner with a school. Pick one. We have all these ordinances as a city. You know how many so I'm 37. For the last 37 years, there has been an ordinance on the books that says that you cannot build anything. You cannot run around this city digging up the earth. You cannot engage in work if you don't have 50% Boston residents, 40% Black, Latino, and 15% women. So I will give a huge shout out to Marty Walsh because he upped the numbers. But why the hell you going to increase the numbers if we ain't even making the damn minimum? That don't make sense. I appreciate you increasing the numbers. And who's being so I requested to have the numbers of the people that have been fined for not having minimums, and I was told they don't have that. So if you don't know who's making minimums and you're not finding them, then what incentive do I have to hire 50% Bostonians, 40% Black and Latinos, and 15% women? Like, you're not going to find me. I'm not going to get in trouble if I do. I'm just going to be on a list that I didn't do it. Okay, sign me up for the damn list, because all this McDuffie's, McDonald's, Larry's, we good, right? We good in New Hampshire, Rhode Island, coming into Boston, making this long money. Lord have mercy. Some schools have partnerships. A lot of project-based learning happening at BDEA, Boston Day and Evening Academy. Hold on, but Sarah, is that not an alternative school? Boston Day and Evening? Is that a regular Boston Public? Because I believe that's an alternative school. And an alternative school is like, oh, you can't get with our system? Okay, we gonna kick you out the system and you gonna go into alternative school. And I remember when I was young and I was in high school, alternative school was for the badass kids that couldn't get right. Like they couldn't sit in the classroom. Everybody that had ADHD was at alternative school. I'm just saying. Paula said, I remember when I was 30 years old, was in elementary school. I remember when my 30-year-old was in elementary school, they started MCAS and it killed educators' enthusiasm big time. I can imagine how that kills enthusiasm to educate children when you want to educate. Like, could you imagine Wake Up with Tayla Andre educating based on a testing system versus like how many people have been like, yo, Taylor, I didn't know. If it wasn't for you, I would have never da. But that's different than me being, so today we gonna learn MCAS 222 through 244, and y'all gonna take this test next week. Ain't nobody learning nothing. You know what? I don't even want to listen to Taylor no more. I'm done. Tap out. Hi, Reggie. I love you, Reggie. Boston Day and Evening Academy. Is or is it not an alternative school? Sarah said, I'm with you on that. Boston Day and Evening Academy has more autonomy as a horse-manning charter within BPS, but I wish more schools did this as well. Horseman is a charter, and they are an alternative school, but they get students from Boston Latin Academy as well. I didn't know that, so thank you for educating me. I'm all for implementing this system. So I can't say like every politician that I have ever interviewed on and off air, these are the things that I am discussing. These are the things that I'm talking about, because as much as parents want to see change, politicians are really can like make the policy for the change to happen. So I know for a fact, like parents are not happy. We're going through the motions. We are simply going through the motions. And I think it's funny that it seemed as if right on the brink of parents collaborating, shout out to C-Plan, parents collaborating and really building a partnership with educators. It's just like, oh, we can no longer engage in C-Plan and, doing this collaborative parent leader action network thing because COVID-19 hit. And it's like, hold on, but COVID-19 hit, and this is the exact moment in which that we should be engaged with parents. Like parents are home with their children. Parents understand what's going on as far as education. Parents are completely understanding what teachers are going through, what teachers are dealing with. The teachers have been trying to tell us for all of these years. We get it now. We get it. Hi, we get it. And so this is the time to engage parents the most because they are the educators right now. And so my frustration lies, I have so much frustration, and that goes back to the topic of the day. Like, am I complaining just to complain, or are there valid complaints here? When your West Indian, when your Latino mother is over here complaining about all of these things that we complain about, are we actually over complaining, or are they valid statements? When I'm over here complaining about BRA, Boston Black Removal Authority, when I'm over here complaining about BPS, when I'm over here complaining about not having properly been communicated by my children's school about this 35-pound damn box, am I over complaining, or are these valid statements? Fran said, testing has taken the fun and creativity away from teaching. And hold on, let me make this bigger. That's why a lot struggle with remote teaching. Teaching can be robotic sometimes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Valid concerns and need to be taken into consideration. That's what I think, but not everybody has my ideology. So when you think about your mom, for real, let's take a minute, for real. Let's talk about your West Indian mama. Let's talk about your Bayesian mom. Let's talk about your Haitian mom. Let's talk about your Jamaican mother. Is your mother that complains all day and all night why you left the window open, why you left the door open? I got the AC on. You just want to, The heat's on. You trying to heat the outside. Why you didn't do the dishes? There's a fork in the sink. Why is the I'm that mom. I don't want no damn dishes in my sink. Don't put no dishes. If I did all the dishes, don't put a dish in the damn sink. Wash it. Why you can't wash the fork? Why? You couldn't wash the fork? Because that fork turns into a cup and a spoon. That cup, spoon, fork turns into a whole damn dish load, and ain't nobody used the damn dishes. Are we complaining, or are these valid statements? And I know that like everybody got a West Indian parent. Is like, if you don't have kids, your mother's complaining. If you got kids, it's a valid statement. I guess it's based on where your position is, right? Whatever position you have in this, situation, and that's where your ideology is. Somebody just inboxed me and said, Tayla, you do complain too much, but a lot of the complaints that you make do have validity in them. And sometimes you can't see past the complaining to see the actual issue because it's always a complaint. I feel like I read that weird. I guess I get it because I am always complaining because it's always something that could be done better. It's always something that could be different in a relationship. Maybe that's why I have relationships. Yes, because I am not willing to settle. I'm not willing to settle. We can always be better. We make America great again. Well, we have a lot of work to do. So if we're going to make America great again, I don't even know what that means, but if we're going to make America great, if we're going to make school systems great, if we're going to make education great, there's a lot of work that needs to happen. And if we're not willing to acknowledge and point out what's not being done, how do we expect change? Like if I'm here silent and let you think that you're doing a good job, that sounds dumb. Like I'm just going to sit. That's like having sex, not having an orgasm, and then being mad at the person for not giving you an orgasm, but yet you don't complain that the sex is whack. Like how you expect change? How you expect him to do what he needs to do to please you if you just pretend like everything's okay? I'm not going to pretend like BPS is doing, like with the whole box situation. I'm not going to pretend like it's okay for you not to communicate with parents that I may need an Uber after coming to pick up 3 different boxes for 3 different children. I'm not, because you didn't know. And you know what? At the end of the day, I did end up contacting the school. And you want to know what they said? Thank you, Tayla. We didn't take that into consideration. We appreciate Plus, they also know me. So they're like, thanks, Tayla. We appreciate you. We'll take it in consideration in the future. But it was like any of our parents can come to us and ask for assistance, but we should have made that clear. And so even though there was I was complaining on behalf of other parents, it was an acknowledgement that they failed to properly communicate. So I feel like it was a valid complaint. And when the children wake up at 4 p.m., I will make sure to let them know that. Who else have children that want to sleep all damn day? Please tell me I'm not the only one, because I really feel like a deadbeat right now. And I need help not feeling like a deadbeat. Like, can you validate my feelings of, like, I'm a good mom? Yo, these kids eat dinner at 10 p.m. They want to eat breakfast at 4 p.m. Can y'all go to sleep? No, we're not tired. We don't have nothing to do tomorrow. Please, someone tell me I am not the only one whose kids are staying up all hours of the night. And even Baby Rain think he's supposed to be up at 11 o'clock riding a damn non-rideable. He has a fire engine, and it's a big ass fire engine. But this kid uses it like a ride-on scooter, and it's like, yo, I'm gonna take a video and post it for you guys. It's it's insane, but it looks so cute. Sarah said, it's not you, it's COVID. So it's not me. So other parents are having this problem where their children are not going to sleep. So I have a 17-year-old, a 15-year-old, and the 2-year-old. And even the 2-year-old thinks he's about to be up all night because the big kids are up all night. He thinks he's a big kid. And so I am interested in knowing, like, I be feeling like a deadbeat. I be coming home from work like, yo, why you still got sleep in your eyes? Why are you making eggs? Like, I'm about to make dinner. Nah, don't make dinner. We just want eggs. It's breakfast time. Technically, it's not. Technically, it's supper. It's not breakfast. It's supper. Shout out to Soul Naked. This is one of my t-shirts. I made it. But I be feeling like a deadbeat. My kids make me feel like I complain whenever I call them Anariana, sorry. They be like, oh, if they could cuss. If my kids could cuss, oh gosh. If they could curse me, I can imagine. Because Anari was like, Mom. Anari does this thing, and he's done this thing ever since he was little, like little. So he's going to be smooth when he gets older. Like, he holds both my hands, does a little rock. He might let go of my hand, hold my face, move my hair out the way. Mom, I understand you had a long day today. How can I help you? How can help me help you make your day better? Like, what do you need to make your day better? I don't want you coming in this house yelling and screaming. You don't have to do that. You're too pretty to do it. Like, yo, this kid is smooth with it. Because by the end of it, I'm like, yeah. You're right. And then he'd be like, come here. Grab me in the small of my back, wrap his arms around me. It's like, it's okay. Like, why are you angry? Why are you yelling? What do you need us to do? Just make a list. We'll get it done. But yet I write a damn list. That list don't get done. And then I have to act a fool all over again. They be making, the finesse is real. I don't know where he got it. Nah, he got it from his daddy. The finesse is so real. But it's do what you need to do. Do what you need to do. I really thought there was going to be mad Jamaicans like, no, my mother complained way too much. She complained about the sugar. She complained about the salt. There could be a grain of sugar on the counter and she want to yell about the counter's not clean. I thought it was going to be a bunch of comments. People talking all types of nonsense about how parents aren't saying and doing what they... Apparently, I'm the only one. Apparently, I'm not, because I remember my mother complaining about everything. Every damn thing. Complaining if I answered the phone, because you ain't supposed to answer the phone if I'm not home. Complaining when I didn't answer the phone because I hung up and then I called again and you should have known it was me because that's the special code. How am I supposed to? You made that up. When did we talk about a one ring call? Like, you want to complain because I cooked the kids something to eat, and then you want to complain that I didn't cook the kids something. Like, what do you want me to do? I'm confused. What is it that you want me to do? You complain because I use laundry detergent, and I should have put half laundry detergent, half this, half like what? Like my kids be wanting to cuss. I wanted to cuss. Complaining. But yet, my daddy didn't complain about anything. See, my daddy still don't complain to this day about anything. We're gonna go back because somebody asked me the other day if we're gonna do what we did on the Wake Up with Tayla Andre show. So for some motivational Mondays, we would call Nana, and Nana would talk about the Bible. Nana would talk about like how you treat people. Nana talked about I think I called Nana something about the kids and something happened with the kids and their father, and she was baby yes, we're gonna call Nana. We're also gonna call my father, and they never knew that they were on air, so it was like real authentic. Even though I got cursed out afterwards, but we still gonna do it. What they gonna do? But my grandmother used to complain. She doesn't complain as much. I feel like there's a fine line. Like some elders get older and they complain about everything under the sun. And then some people become elders and they're like, yo, I ain't got enough time in this life to be angry about little stuff. And that makes me wonder, like, for grown women, for grown-ups, specifically women, do you feel like you spend too much time complaining? Like when the kids don't have a clean house, do you want a clean house or do you want a peaceful day? technically I want both. But do you consider, so this is, y'all don't want to admit anything, that's fine, but do some own soul searching and ask yourself whether or not, like, there are some days where I'm not complaining about the laundry, I'm not complaining about the dishes, like I'm not in the mood to raise my blood pressure to discuss any of this, and I just want to relax. I just want to watch a TV show. I just want to read a book. I don't want to be bothered. And so there's some days where I really don't care what is happening in the house at all. Anari and Asari are fighting each other. Baby Rain spilling cereal all over the place. I don't care. I just want peace. I'm not yelling. I'm not screaming. I'm not complaining. I'm not, the house is absolutely destroyed after a day of not complaining. But do you want peace or do you want to complain? How many of us listeners know somebody that all they want to do is complain all the time? They don't take no timeouts. There's no timeout. Y'all know me. I don't really take timeouts. Sarah said, sometimes, especially with work in certain spaces, I feel like I have to take a step back and be silent and see if others will speak up. And sometimes I feel like I need to take a step back too and walk over that toy and see if your ass gonna pick up that bottle. See if you gonna pick up that piece of clothing that you left on the floor and walk right over it a couple times. Sometimes I need to see how you gonna react. And sometimes I get so annoyed where I just pick it up myself because you done walked over it 15 times and ain't picked it up. And apparently you're not going to. I don't understand how kids have blinders to not see. Like, you did not see that cup that you had in your room for 3 days just in the middle of the floor? You're not going to pick up the cup on the middle of the floor. Why can't the house just clean its damn self? I'm so tired of cleaning the bathroom all day. Good rising, all day, every day. The dishes don't never stop. Laundry don't never stop. Sometimes, depending on the week, I will let all 15 loads of laundry just sit in a basket, and I'll get to it at a later date. We spend entirely too much time grooming our homes, but yet at the same time, I be wanting to have a spotless home. I don't know. Listen, we started the topic way too soon. Let me get into some of this news. Good rising, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. I am Tayla Andre. Waking up with Tayla Andre has absolutely nothing to do with the time of day we link up, but waking up our third eye with unorthodox conversations leading to universal consciousness. Court records show drug suspect offered plea deal to name Brianna Taylor as part of an organized crime. So that is one article, right? There's another article that says Brianna Taylor's ex-boyfriend was offered a plea deal if he would claim that Brianna was part of organized crime syndicate. Jamarcus Glover turned down the plea deal that would have implicated Brianna Taylor in his alleged crimes. And so Brianna Taylor's ex-boyfriend was offered a plea deal. Jamarcus Glover, Taylor's ex-boyfriend, in the focus of the no-knock raid, which took her life, pled not guilty to drug charges on Friday. Court records indicate that the prosecutors were willing to give him a plea deal if he was to implicate Taylor in his alleged crimes. Glover was given the offer by Jefferson Commonwealth's attorney office on July 13 to avoid a 10-year prison sentence and to be sentenced to possible probation. In return for the leniency, he was required to admit he and co-defendants were involved in a drug trafficking operation in Louisville, Kentucky through April 22nd. According to court records, the crime syndicated sold drugs from an abandoned warehouse and a vacant house in Louisville. Taylor, 26, lived just 10 miles away. Glover, 30, turned down the plea deal. An attorney representing Taylor's family in the wrongful death lawsuit blasted officials for the lengths in which they would go to for the police department and the Commonwealth's attorney to come after Brianna Taylor's killer instead of going after Brianna Taylor's killer, trying to paint her as a villain. The fact that they would even try to represent that she was a co-defendant in a criminal case more than a month after she died is absolutely disgusting. Glover told the Louisville Courier-Journal last week that police were attempting to shift the narrative around her death. She died on March 13th, and her killers are still walking the street and aren't on administrative leave. She died on March 13th after a botched raid in her home in which officers shot her 8 times. Glover believes that law enforcement is now blaming him for their actions. Sergeant Jonathan Mattingly, Detective Miles Cosgrove, and former Detective Brett Hanskin were the officers involved in the shooting. Hanskinson is since been fired from the Louisville Police Department, but has not been arrested. The police are trying to make it out to be my fault and turning the whole community out here, making it look like I brought this to Brianna's door. There was nothing never there or any. I promise you, I'm just reading. I'm There was nothing never there or anything. Oh shoot, this is touchscreen. There was nothing, anything ever there. And at the end of the day, they went about it the wrong way and lied on the search warrant that got the girl shot. As previously reported, Glover denied any wrongdoing when he used her address to receive packages. Nothing ever illegal was sent there. Getting shoes and clothes coming through the mail is not illegal. Nothing illegal at all. Glover said to his child's mother on recorded Jailhouse call while Taylor had been holding money for him, the money was for phone bills, and that he believed that she became implicated in his crimes because she bailed him out of jail. I don't understand how they going to serve a warrant for Bree's house, bruh, Glover said to a man on the front. Like, first and foremost, I'll shut up. I'm learning to pick my battles. I'll shut up. Police believe incorrectly that Taylor was alone at home and unarmed while conducting surveillance on her home the night of the raid. According to reports, Commonwealth's attorney Tom Wine did not respond to a request for comment. But some believe that Glover was offered the plea deal in order for police to evade accountability in her death because she is destroying them. And they want Jamarcus Glover to do it for them because their efforts have failed. So they offer him a bribe. Basically, all you have to do is smear her, said Louisville defense attorney Ted Souse. How you feel about that? What are your thoughts on that? And I love how one article, the first article, Brianna Taylor's ex-boyfriend offered a plea deal if he would claim Taylor was part of an organized crime syndicate. And a drug suspect offered plea deal to name Brianna Taylor as part of organized crime. But yet when you read the article, it's so much deeper than that. So this be the thing that I really don't like about media is unless you actually read, you don't get the whole story. And so many of us, and like no one, that was what, 3 minutes? I read that whole 3-minute article. Ain't nobody reading 3 minutes to understand the entire story. We read the article. Oh, shoot. She was part of a crime syndicate. And that's how rumors get started. Brandy and Monica, who watched the versus battle? Who called their ex-boyfriend yesterday? Who called their ex-girlfriend yesterday? Yo, there's a meme going around when Monica was dancing and they were like, yo, why she look like Lord Farquaad? But the outfit was mad cute though. But I did see how like the hat looked like Lord. Yo, that mess was ridiculous. So they the versus battle, 1.2 million viewers. Yo, can we take 5 seconds to admit that the corona climate, not coronavirus, the corona climate has created like, I'm really loving the vibes out here when it comes to the corona climate and how much we have altered what is entertainment, what could be education, what is now politics. Like, yo, I am super excited that they have focused so much attention. Like they still had to pass these resolutions. They still had to have hearings. So in order to have these hearings and to still give community their fair, justification of involvement, they had to open up these doors and do all of these Zooms and make these links possible. So even though once upon a time we couldn't go to hearings because they were at 1 in the afternoon, 3 in the afternoon, couldn't nobody go to a hearing about education? We couldn't go to the hearing about budget. We couldn't go to the state house for all of these hearings. We had work. Wasn't nobody leaving work in order to just show up, to listen, and to give their testimony? Wasn't happening. But I love the corona climate that we have created that has made accessible parts of politics that were inaccessible at one time. And I don't know if you guys remember, but going back to complaining, I used to complain all the time, like, you guys do something different? Because there's no reason why people have to leave work in order to be involved. The city started doing something different when it comes to the Boston Black Removal Authority, the BRA. They started doing things differently because now they'll say lot 1, 2, 3 on street ABC is being, discussed for developmental, such and such wants to develop it. This is the person. This is what they want to do. All of these plans are online now. The plot plan is online. You being able to make a comment whether you're for or against whatever this planning committee is trying to put together. The fact that we now have access to so much that we didn't have access to before. We are now a front row and center to guide the decisions that politicians were blindly making without us. Hey, yo, the Harriet Tubman house under scrutiny, right? They're under investigation to find out whether or not there was some effery going on in there. I can't tell you how happy I am because a lot of us knew that the Harriet Tubman, somebody was getting paid. Someone got their pockets lined and we about to find out. I can't wait. Tell it. Spill the tea. Investigate them all. Because some of your politicians dirty, baby. Dirty. And I don't mean done dirty. I mean pockets lined dirty. But shout out to Brandy. Shout out to Monica. Over 1.2 million viewers for the two dynamic singers that have been musical rivals. And that's a lie. That is a bold-faced lie. And I wanted to I wanted to read that and then dispute it. Because Brandy and Monica were never rivals. We love Brandy. We love Monica. Why do we have to choose? It's like choosing the favorite auntie. Why you both can't be my favorite aunt? Stop. And they've been pitting them against each other for so long. It was the battle for the ages. Since it was announced over 2 weeks ago, the versus battle between Brandy and Monica has been one of the most highly anticipated of the series. The two women have been musical rivals, lies, since the 90s, and the event revealed that the tension between them is still thick. Lies. We, the people, always like Brandy versus Monica. You got to pick one. And I just wanted them both to be able to win. And that was a new record. That 1.2 million was a new record. But can we talk about that Beanie Man and Bounty Killer? I still watch that. I still watch it for the vibes. Really? I still watch it for the hype. Not even the music, but just how they vibed with each other. That was, for me, that was one of, I loved it. I fell in love. That was, and shout out to Saran. Saran said you have to watch the original Bounty Killer and Beanie Man when they were on stage 20 years ago. It was dope. It was, shout out to Versus, because Versus, again, Corona culture, doing it for the culture is just dope. Black Women Views Media. My girl VP nominee, Senator Kamala Harris, kicked off Monica versus Brandy. What's better than Black women supporting Black women? Let's go, Queens. I will leave that there. There were tons of stars that were present for the live stream, including Michelle Obama, Kiki Palmer, Fantasia, Solange, Queen Latifah, Missy Elliott, Jonta Austin. Yo, I love me some Jonta Austin. I can tell you stories about Jonta, and a lot of y'all don't even know who Jonta is. A lot of y'all don't even know who Jonta is, but go Google. Go Google. For those who don't know, I understand the idea of versus, and I think it's really, really entertaining and an incredible idea. Monica said of the phenomenon founded by producers Timbaland and Swiss Beats in the early days of the corona pandemic. One of the things that has happened to me my whole career is being put against somebody that I'm not even remotely similar to. She said, I think the reality is us being polar opposite makes it dope. The difference between the two singers were on full display Monday night. Monica was even dressed in a Fendi while Brandy sported a bohemian jacket and jeans. Billboard crowned Brandy the winner of the 21-round battle, but social media will assuredly continue to debate for the results. Who do you think won? Who do you think won? Brandy and Monica, who do you think won? Shout out Life of Sean Ron, not Sean Don, Sean Ron. Who do you think won? Brandy or Monica? Do 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 do. Cast your ballot. Do 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 on voting day. Do do. Brandy. You think Brandy won? Why you think Brandy won? I'll wait. Yo, you saw that meme? It was just like if Monica wear these, Brandy lost. Yo, I had the album. I was one of the album cover lovers, like reading the album cover from front to back, all the lyrics from front to back, who produced it, who wrote it, who this, who that, things I didn't even understand at a young age. But I read the covers from front to back, and I never noticed Monica's wearing her auntie shoes. People could relate a bit more to Monica. She got Brandy. People could relate more to Brandy. She got hella more hits. That's what Life of Sean Ron said. Who else? Who else think Brandy won? Tribes support Justice Raquel Montana Lewis bid to retain state Supreme Court seat. This is in Olympia, Washington. And so there's a lot. And one of the things that you will hear me report on as far as the news is Native American news. And so I think it's really important because we're here in Massachusetts. We have a large population of Native Americans or sovereign people. And I think sovereign people are some of the most like they don't get their fair shake at all. They are one of the most, the inequity that takes place against sovereign people that is never discussed. I think for me, we fail to acknowledge that sovereign people that were here before it was discovered, Americano discovered America and not Christopher Columbus. Like they were here and we don't even acknowledge them, let alone like mindfully, purposefully inform ourselves on what's going on with them. And you have to understand, like in the case of Martin Luther King Jr., like injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. And when you take a look at these sovereign people that own land and have sovereign land, and you see how our government treats a nation within a nation, you can't expect them to treat anyone else any different. So I feel personally that if we don't back and support sovereign people, a nation within a nation, if we don't support them, we definitely are not going to see any support towards us. And I don't mean towards getting support from sovereign people. I just mean if sovereign people are being mistreated, and this is their land. Like, let's be real. Let's be honest. This is their land. We came, invaded their land. We're stolen, brought to their land. Like, whatever, however you want to discuss that narrative. The point is that we don't belong here. And the people who don't belong dictate and govern those who are sovereign to this land, those that are native to this land. And we treat them like trash. And so if you think for 5 seconds that your government is going to uphold you and nurture you and feed you and take care of you, but yet they are hosing, gassing, and killing natives, sovereign people, that is going to show you exactly what you can expect next, in my opinion. And so we will discuss a lot of sovereign news so we can understand what's going on in the nation within the nation, while still understanding it. And for me, it's like, how can we use the foundations that they have set forth and build on top of that? How can we take their foundation of what's working, that collectiveness, and bring that over to us? Like, I definitely and have been and want to sit down with like an Asian CDC. I want to sit down with Asians so bad and have real conversations, like maybe an Asian week. I don't know if that's racist. I'm not trying to be racist, but I want to sit down with Japanese. I want to sit down with Vietnamese. I want to sit down with the Asians who have come to this country, are able to sleep 22 to a 2-bedroom. And everybody come out 10 years later a millionaire. Like, yo, talk about sacrifice, putting in sacrifice in order to get a reward. Like, that's what I'm trying. Like, teach me how to build that type of foundation for my people so we can duplicate that 100-fold. I want to see Kwanzaa every day. There's 7 days of Kwanzaa for 7 days a week. We don't need to celebrate Kwanzaa near Christmas. Kwanzaa need to be celebrated Monday through Sunday. And technically, the first day of the week is Sunday, not Monday. So Sunday through Saturday. How about that? In Olympia, Washington State Supreme Court Justice Raquel Montana Lewis, a tribal citizen of the Pueblo of Estelia of New Mexico, is running to retain her seat on the state's highest court in the general election on November 3rd. She was appointed by Washington Governor Jay Inslee. Montana Lewis was sworn in on January 6, 2020, and must run in the election to retain her seat for a full term. The other candidates running for the seat is Dave Larson, who served as a judge on the Federal Way, Washington Municipal Court for more than a decade, and so he is the incumbent. Montana Lewis is the only second American Indian to serve on a state Supreme Court in the country. Prior to her selection by Inslee, Montana Lewis served 5 years on the Whatcom County Superior Court. This is huge, like, for them to have been here millennia before we even knew that what is called America is America. They were living free and hunting buffalo. Like, we had no parts of this. And for them to have been here the longest, yet only 2 ever, she is the second, is disheartening and annoying, but it is what it is. And I just want us to be mindful of what it is. Life of Sean Ron said people could relate more to, that's regarding Brandy. He said the government is trash. Let's leave that right there. Trump says that Black Lives Matter movement is bad for Black people. The first time I ever heard of Black Lives Matter, I said, that's a terrible name. The president told Fox News, it's so discriminatory. I'm going to just leave right now. I'm going to just leave. Somebody come get your president. I've read that he, over the course of his presidency, he suffered many strokes. And that's why, like, people are making fun of his speech and people are making fun of the way he walks, but he suffered from multiple mini strokes, but yet none of that was reported. Like, none of that was on mainstream media. I wonder why. In an interview with Fox News host Laura Ingraham, President Donald Trump said that Black Lives Matter is a Marxist organization. He said that the name of the organization is discriminatory. The first time I ever heard that, I thought it was a terrible name. It's bad for Black people. It's bad for everybody. I can be transparent, right? I personally believe that Black Lives Matter. I'm not a fan of the organization. And the reason why I'm not a fan of the organization is because when you take a look at history and you see what history, when you take a look at the conversation that we had last week with James Mackey and Brother Brandon, and Brandon was talking about the Pan-Hellenic Council, aka the Black Greek associations. When you take a look at the role that they played, the NAACP, SNCC, they had an action plan. They had a demand. They didn't just come out and say, "Hey, we're SNCC and we believe in student." Like it wasn't just about that. It was like, listen, these are the things that we want. These are the things that we demand. These are the things that we deserve. How are you going to make these things happen? And though it may not have, at that moment turned into solutions, it was a plan. And if you failed a plan, baby, you failed, period. And for me, Black Lives Matter, the movement, has never sat down and has never sat down and really taken stock of what it is we as Black people actually need, deserve, and want, and make those demands heard. There are millions upon millions upon millions. Like, you could go to the suburbs and just like you see a Trump's support Trump 2020 sign, you will see across the street somebody who was like, nah, Black Lives Matter, and in the garden, in the yard. And so for me, it's like, you have all of this capital in the sense of like people capital, people that are willing to buy into it. And you, for what though? Like, what are you selling except for signs that say Black Lives Matter? What conversations are really being had? And it could be so much bigger than what it really is. It could be like Black Lives Matter action plan, or Black Lives Matter 10 deliverables. Black Lives Matter, this is where you come to learn about your bias. Black Lives Matter trainings, where white people that buy into Black Lives actually mattering, like what you can do to help Black Lives Matter to those who want to scream all lives matter or blue lives matter. And I definitely, I'm looking for police officers that are willing to speak to being Black. And if blue lives matter, like, what does that look like inside a police department when blue lives matter, but also your Black life matters? Especially when we know that multiple Black men who are also police officers have been wrongfully arrested because they were Black. There's a video on Instagram of police officers attempting to arrest an FBI agent. And he's like, yeah, open my wallet. You're dumb. You feel stupid, don't you? You feel stupid. I told, like, and it's what does that look like behind that thin blue wall? Or that, what is it? The thin blue line? Black lives versus blue lives when you're Black in blue. Like, that's the conversation that I really want to have. If you guys know any police officers that are willing to engage in that, I don't know if Gross can really speak to that the way that I want him to. And that's just because of like Gross's personality and how he feels about things. But I would definitely reach out to Gross and see if that's possible. But I really want a police officer that has to deal with this, 72% white police force? That's really that's the questions that I have. But for me, as far as like Black Lives Matter, I really do think that they could have done a lot more. Like, it could be so much different than just these rallies and protests. And it could have actually advanced Black people versus, I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. Let me know if you don't agree. Tell me, nah, Taylor, like, nah, you're wrong. I'm okay with that. Like, let's have a discussion. This is not a one-way conversation. This is a two-way conversation. We're working on the phone lines, actually. I just wanted to let you guys know that we're working on the phone lines so you guys can call in. You guys can always private chat. You can inbox me. You can leave comments. Let me see. Let me go ahead and check Facebook real quick because I want to see if anybody has commented through that means or inboxed me. Nope. Nope. Y'all ain't got nothing to say. It's fine. It's okay. You was the police? I didn't know you was the police. Okay. In other news, there was another Black man that was killed. I don't know why we're surprised. It's so freaking annoying. Police in Los Angeles on Monday shot and killed a Black man after officers stopped him while riding a bike for what was being described as a bicycle code violation, sparking a night of protest in California's biggest city. If we are having honest conversations, for years, we've known that the LA Police Department is trash. We know that the LA Police Department is corrupt. We know that the LA Police Department needs some serious help. Reach out to the Police Department and tell them that they need Team All Aces to help them with their racial equity, diversity, and inclusion because they lack. One of the things recently that Tariq Nasheed posted on Twitter, and he was just like this white Latino race soldier. That's what he called him. And people were like going really like back and forth arguing, talking about you can't be a white Latino. And I'm like, that you can't be a white Hispanic. That's dumb. Because half of the damn DR, PR think that they're white. Like that's what they check off on the census. What are you saying to me? They speak Spanish, they're Latinos, but they self-identify as white. And a lot of people are like, there's no such thing as white Latinos. You know what? Though I may agree with you on some level, look at the Spaniards. The Spaniards identify themselves as white, but yet they're also Latinos. A lot of Brazilians, light-skinned Brazilians. When you take a look at Telemundo, like colorism is real. Colorism is really real. And even though there is a larger population of darker skinned Latinos that speak Spanish, the only representation that you ever see on any type of Latin television station are all light skinned. And if we could be honest, a lot of self-hatred because nobody wears their hair curly. All them beautiful ass curls and they want to bone straighten their hair. It was a Latin man that killed. His name is Dijon Kizzy. LA police shot him for a bicycle code violation. He was 29 years old. He was shot and killed by LA sheriffs. After being stopped for a bike violation, cops handcuffed his lifeless body. While police investigations can drag on for months and years, cops have already claimed he ran away and dropped clothes and a gun. And so because he had a gun, right now we don't know whether or not he was a licensed gun holder and he was running for his life. One of the things that I will say about Massachusetts is it is illegal for police to come and arrest you because you ran from the police. Like, running from the police is justified in Massachusetts. And so I honor the privilege that we have here in this state where running from the police does not make you guilty, but across the country, running for the police automatically makes you guilty for whatever crimes. We don't know if he was a COM-2A. We don't know if he believed in the Second Amendment. We don't know if he had a gun license or not. It'll come out in the rinse and in the wash. But right now he had a gun. So him being dead is completely justified when it comes to media and when it comes to the police. He was justified. They say that he had a towel and had his clothes and his pants couldn't even stay up. So that's what made him slow down. And they had enough time to get him. The woman who granted autonomy Anonymity says, they didn't have to shoot him more than 5 times. They could have shot him in the leg 1 time. She continued, what's the use of having the prison system if all y'all gonna do is kill us? What are y'all here for? Who are you actually protecting? I'll wait for an answer. Police offered a different narrative with varying chronology. Our suspect was holding some items of clothing in his hand, punched one of the officers in the face. Sir, excuse me, sir, can I please see your body camera? Sir, I'm sorry. Based on the Murray lie detector, I don't believe you, and I'm going to need to watch. Punched one of the officers in the face and then dropped the items in his hands. The deputies noticed that inside the clothing items he dropped was a black semi-automatic handgun, at which the time a deputy involved shooting occurred. 109th in Bulong in South Central LA, police shooting. The man pulled a gun on police, but it was edited out of the clip, and that is online. I have refused to post, repost, watch, or engage in any more Black men being killed. And the reason why I say that is because if you go back a little over 60 years, 80 years, 60 years, postcards of Black men being lynched and hanged. You know the Black man, what is his name? He was lynched and then they set his body on fire. And while he was on fire, different parts of his body were cut off and used as souvenirs. I forgot what book I read it in, but I will never forget it. I will never forget reading the thousands of people that came out because this man was accused of raping a white woman who he will most likely was having sex with, and everybody was mad that I'm not going to go there because the man is deceased. I have my own personal feelings that are neither here nor there. They hung him. They burned his body. And as his body was smoldering, like after the fire went out and his body was smoking, they were cutting pieces of his fingers, his toes, his hand off, peeling off pieces of his skin as souvenirs. There were photographs that were sold for up to $1 and used as postcards. I refuse to continuously post, watch, or engage in shooting of Black men, thinking it's going to awaken an empathy in people whose ancestors once thought it was okay to take a photograph and use it as a postcard. In other news, Black alumni from Baltimore private schools say that school isn't worth the racial trauma. In this op-ed, a group of former students at Roland Park Country School in Baltimore are demanding the prestigious all-girls school take action to make it a safer space for Black students. This sounds like Black at BL, Black Lives Matter, Boston Latin Academy, BLA. There was also, like, I don't know if you guys are on Twitter. I love Twitter. Twitter is like, while everybody else is watching reality TV, Twitter is my reality TV. Like, I really F's with Twitter hard. The Black Twitter is hilarious. There's so much news. It's like, it's unregulated news sources. Like, it's not, and by unregulated, I don't mean like rampant, weird lies. What I mean is, once upon a time, we had these multiple 50 different organizations that contributed to media, and now we have 6 people, if you include Facebook, 7 people that determine what is media. And so 50 contributing to media versus 6 determining what media is, we now get this oversaturated nonsense of BS when it comes to the news. But with Twitter, it's like people are live streaming the news. People are like on the scene, actual reporters with the news. It's just, I really mess with Twitter because it's so, like, it's real. You're going to get the reels off Twitter, where like Facebook is kind of filtered and watered down, and Instagram is a little bit of like memes looking like truth, but actual lies. If you act, so a lot of these memes that you feel like you learn so much from these memes, if you actually Google what you read in the meme, 9 times out of 10, it's nothing more but the clickbait news articles that you see floating around Facebook. Like it really is 1% of 1% of the truth. But Black at Latin Academy, Black at BLA, it was huge because these students were like, listen, there's a lot of racism. Like the teachers are racist, the students are racist, the policies are racist, and everything about this school is horrible. And so this is actually taking place in Baltimore, and this Baltimore private girls' school is like, the education that you receive is not worth the trauma that you will never forget. And so had it worked out, Janine Jackson's daughter would have graduated from Roland Park Country School in 2009 as a 1988 graduate of the prestigious all-girls school nestled in the scenic neighborhood of Baltimore, Maryland. Jackson entered the school in the 5th grade as a handful of Black students that had returned to teach just after college. By 2005, when it was time to enroll her own daughter, Catherine, in kindergarten, she was no stranger to the school's racial issues, but felt prepared for the challenge. She said, "But my beautiful Black child woke up one day and no longer wanted to be Black. She told my father that she wanted to be white because the white kids get treated better. She was there for 1 year. It took years to rebuild her self-esteem." Jackson said her daughter previously had a dynamic personality, but at Roland Park, which educates students from preschool through the 12th grade, it became clear that the negative assumptions were being made about her child. She recalled a teacher accusing her 5-year-old of refusing to say the Pledge of Allegiance. "I always felt like they were trying to talk me into doing less than what I was capable of." She sat there with a smirk on her face. The teacher claimed, Jackson recalled, "I said, 'Did you teach her the Pledge of Allegiance?' She said, 'No, every child should come to school already knowing the Pledge of Allegiance. Parents teach the Pledge of Allegiance at home.'" And she was like, well, I didn't teach my daughter the Pledge of Allegiance. And so it's not that she didn't want to engage in the Pledge of Allegiance. She didn't know what the hell y'all were doing. And so like, it's a long op-ed into basically the same thing that we heard at Black at BLA, and the same thing we heard at, what's the other one? The Mystic Valley, the 2 girls that got suspended because they had braids, protective braids, and all of the stuff that they came out and said about their school. Like we know that this is not new. And I wonder, one of the conversations that is not being had and is completely under wraps, and I've actually had a one-on-one conversation with somebody who works within the MECO system, but when we bust our babies out, they ain't being bust no more, huh? When we bust our babies out to MECO schools in order for them to get a great education, what trauma are we contributing in their growth and development because we want them to get a good education while their soul and their self-esteem suffers? Nick Saban. When I say roll, you say tide. Roll. I heard you. So Roll Tide University at Alabama student athletes took part in a March for Change in Tuscaloosa on Monday, led by football coach Nick Saban. Get it, Nick. Y'all gonna invite him to the cookout? The video of him like literally leading the football players, he's right up front. And this is huge because if you know anything about, I know little to nothing about sports, but if you know anything about when it comes to college football, them Alabama boys ain't nothing to play with, right? And so for the number 1 team in the league, who gonna where the War Eagles at? Sit down. For the number 1 team in the league to take a stand and for the coach to walk in front and say, "I stand with my players." I think this is huge. It's equivalent to, what's his name? Goodell. What's the NFL guy name? It's very similar to him leading the pack of, the team. Like when you think of Nick Saban, like Nick Saban is the biggest name in college football. That's like what's Patriots got with the dude who never smiled? What's our coach name? Somebody gonna tell me what the damn coach name. Lord have mercy. Patriots coach. Bill Belichick. That's who I meant. It's like Bill Belichick leading the Patriots into like Black Lives Matter protests. It's huge. And I love it because Alabama is still as racist today as it was when we were slaves. And when I say we, anybody with melanin in their skin, because it could have been an indigenous person, it could have been a slave, an enslaved person from Africa. Like, first and foremost, if you got melanin, you're Black, even if you speak Spanish. And we won't go there. I won't go down that rabbit hole. But Nick Saban leading his players against the ridiculousness that's taking place in the world is a beautiful thing. And roll tide, roll. I am proud. I am very proud and I'm super excited. And I am an Alabama fan, baby. I surely is. A Florida girl, 6 years old, allegedly killed by her mother after parental rights are terminated. The child was stabbed multiple times with a kitchen knife. And if you see this mother's face in her mugshot, like, it's so heart-wrenching. And the only reason why I'm really reading the story is because I told y'all the craziest stuff happened in Florida, but the way that this mother looks in her photo is just like demonic. She got that smirk, like it's I can't. So there was a baby here in Massachusetts that was recently killed by her mother after the father petitioned the court for her not to have full custody. But because we live in Massachusetts, the mama got full custody. The child was given back to the mother, and it was less than 3 months that the mother killed the child. And so there are some laws that need to be changed, especially when it comes to parental, I don't know, what is that? CPS, Child Protective Services? Like, there's a lot that needs to be changed in that system. And I completely understand that a lot of the workers are inundated with caseloads, but we are not putting enough care into what is best for the child and just kind of like doing this protocol type situation. And it's annoying because there are some really, really amazing dads out here. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of deadbeat men. There's a lot of deadbeat women. I be feeling like a deadbeat because my kids want to stay up until 2, 3, 5 a.m. and wake up at 4 in the afternoon. But, there's a lot of good dads out here that are not getting the opportunity to be fathers because women are perceived to be the nurturer and the caretakers. And we are taking away, when we strip a father of his rights, we are taking so much away from the child. Like, I'm not even thinking about the daddy right now. As a female who needed my daddy in my life all the days of my life, and to only have been given access to him when my mother thought I deserved to see my father, like, I can tell you firsthand that it's affected me gravely. It affected, to see how my sisters act because their father was in the house and they got to see their daddy every single day, and the strength and the courage and like the differences in self-esteem, initial self-esteem. Fathers are just as important as mothers. And I'm a huge father's right activist. And so, or advocate or whatever, like, I don't want to self-proclaim anything. I am for fathers' rights, period. And to see so many of our fathers not have the rights that they deserve. What is it? Inalienable, right? Like, you deserve these rights, period. A Black legislator says congressman tried to get her fired for calling out racism. This is Rochester legislator Sabrina Lamar alleges that Congressman Joe Morrell used his power to attempt to have her fired from her university job. So Sabrina Lamar is a freshman legislator based in Rochester, New York, is speaking out after she says that Congressman Joe Morrell attempted to use his power to have her fired. Lamar filed an official complaint against Morrell after he allegedly contacted a colleague and demanded her firing in response to her non-political work at Rochester Institution of Technology. Rep. Morrell admits to contacting RIT, but denies trying to get Lamar fired. We no longer have to lay down and just take this. We have the same rights as our male white counterparts and no longer stand by idly, say and do nothing. Those days are over, said Lamar. Congressman Joe Morrell did not threaten me, but he did threaten RIT and revealed to several people that he called RIT in attempt to have me terminated from employment. Lamar writes in her ethics claim, this is widely known at RIT. It is widely known that RIT receives several federal grants and depends upon federal government to conduct business. A call from a congressman in this manner is a threat to private entity and not befitting of a congressman. Not befitting of a congressman. He needs to resign from office, she says. At RIT, Lamar works as a legislative project coordinator for community engagement to reduce victimization. Her position includes working with community to curb gun violence in the Rochester area. In this capacity, Lamar was invited to an online show hosted by Robin Wilt, a congressional candidate for the 25th Congressional District and the current town board member of Brighton, New York. Robin Wilt was Rep. Morrell's opponent in June's Democratic primary, and Lamar serves as Democratic county legislator. We talk a lot about politics because I think politics is super important for us to understand in order for us to engage. And so if we don't understand, we're less likely to engage. And so I don't know everything. I'm not claiming to know everything, but what I do know is when you know a little bit and you implement what you know, that is where power lies. And so if we don't know much about politics, we can't implement what we know about politics. We are powerless because we don't have this knowledge. So if knowledge is power and implementation of knowledge is even more powerful, then I, baby, am going to spend all of the days of my life educating all of us on what it is we need to know when it comes to politics so we can make informed decisions and have people in spaces that actually represent us and do the right damn thing. So shout out to Julia Mahia because she is in the right place at the right time doing the work. Shout out to China Tyler because she is in the right place at the right time doing the work. And shout out to my baby Ayanna Presley because she is in the right place at the right time doing the work. And so when you do the work and you're in for community, those are the people that need to be fighting for us. And I just want us to make informed decisions. And so we talk about politics. And if you don't like it, sorry, not sorry. I want us to be informed. I want us to be engaged. And that is how we change our own narrative without asking for permission, but demanding the change that we know we deserve. Woosah. Is it okay with you if I take a break? I just want to breathe really quickly. I just want to take a time out for a second. Do you mind if we go ahead and play some music? You okay with that? All right, then. All right. I'm going to play some music for y'all too so you can hear it.
Today, I'm gonna wake me up and say we're going on day. I didn't want to go. You know how children is. She say I can't say no. Come and experience this. But when I reach in the middle of the crowd, crow reach, and then turn up the place to tear it down. Then I'll always reach. I never fear we back and I've been start for that day. I was super rich on the stage and the people to start to work. It was coming skin up. It was coming skin up. I said something touched my heart. It was coming skin up. First time I wine and I wine and low. It was coming skin up. That's where everything starts. It was coming skin up. up to this day, yeah, yeah. When all the foreigners come and they say we going down there, it must have been skin apart. It must have been skin apart. I said something touched my heart. It must have been skin apart. Because I'm a wine and a whining low. It must have been skin apart. That's where everything starts. It must have been skin apart. I could still feel it, dust in my face, dust in my face, dust in my face. Could still feel it, dust in my face, dust in my face, dust in my face. Jumping up like a crazy, yeah. But this that made me, yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, oh, I remember, yeah, yeah, yeah. First time I fell in love with Carnival. First time I felt so magical.
Moto there.
Shobozile.
Hey, what you say? Top right. Say nom you aimé. Nom you aimé. Say nom. Yeah. She like man we fried. Big ride this man we fried. Top right. She like man we fried. Big ride this man we fried. Top right.
Big ride, make her come inside when she see the gas stick. Her eyes open wide, she like how I drive the bell motor car. The bell motor car is
big ride. All the girl them want big ride. Top ride. Super Nissan, passing it in like man we fried. Big ride this man we fried. Top right. She like man we fried. Big ride this man we fried. Top right. Oh my girl, bubble on the bonnet, boy. Just jiggle on the bonnet, boy.
Evelyn Numpkin BMW AP out.
Right.
Yes, Numpkin Corolla Bass have been Buckeye.
Right.
In a Subaru car with a jig belt.
Right.
Just bring the BM no Vitara Suzuki.
She like man we fried. Big ride this man we fried. Top right. She like man we fried. Big ride this man we fried. Top right. Hello, man we fried. Well, okay. Man we fried. All she did with is the change, partner. Man we fried. Big up Martinique, big up what they look celestial, Allah. Man we fried. Moto there, yeah. Team 4. Okay.
Let's start with the big question.
The all-new Spark FM.
Good rising, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. I am Tayla Andre. Waking up with Tayla Andre has absolutely nothing to do with the time of day we link up. Time of day we link up, but waking up your third eye with unorthodox conversations leading to universal consciousness. We are coming to the top of the hour, but there was a few things that I wanted to discuss really quickly, and that is Black Twitter is going in on Adele. I know y'all saw the picture of Adele with some Bantu knots. How y'all feel about that? How you feel? They're saying that, Adele from Roxbury. Adele can wear Bantu knots. She's not from the South End. She's not from the North End. She ain't from Brighton. She from Dorchester. She could wear Bantu knots. She from the hood. That was some of the comments that were made where you take a look at Black Twitter going all the way in. So Black Twitter reacted to Adele's Jamaican bikini top. The children told me, why wasn't she matching though? Who told her to wear that and why she don't look good? If she over here trying to dress up for carnival, why she just didn't play a full mask? Why she just didn't put everything on instead of a little Jamaican top with some Bantu knots and some feathers on her shoulders? She should have went full mask if that's what she was trying to do. The question is, how thin is the line between cultural appropriation and cultural appreciation? So Adele wearing Bantu knots and a Jamaican bikini top, hot or not? How y'all feel? What y'all think? whatever she want to do, that's what I'm for. I'm for her happiness. If she is happy wearing Bantu knots, then you know what, baby, you got to sit in that chair and get your hair wrapped around so tight that it actually stays. You got to put the gel in it once you take it out. You want to, like, you know what? More white girls need to go through it and appreciate sitting in between somebody's legs and having your hair done. Because we've been doing this since we were little girls. We veterans. I can only imagine how difficult it is to actually like sit there and get your hair done. And I hope somebody popped in the head with a comb. Just, I'm mad. I know y'all got popped in the head with the comb. You already know. If she gonna do it, go full force. Somebody hit her in the head with a comb. Somebody burn her ear with the hot comb so she could get the full effect. Cultural appreciation. I need you to appreciate all of it. Oh, y'all remember that brown brush? That brown brush that smoothed the edges? You ever get hit in the head with that brown? Oh my. That's the one I hate. That's one I don't appreciate. So yesterday, I missed it, you guys. Trinidad and Tobago's Independence Day, August 31st, 1962. I'm a day late and $1 short, but I still want to appreciate Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you so much. Well, you guys didn't do anything. You had to fight for your independence like the rest of us, but shout out to you. Red, white, and black. A Trini, red, white, and so yesterday was their 58th anniversary of independence. And unfortunately, like the rest of us, Carnival could not have been celebrated unless you on Talbot Ave. And then, that speaker was big as AF. I saw a video of the speaker, and I was like, damn, who thought it was Jamaica and jumped on the damn tow truck? I thought the tow truck was a truck. I thought it was like a sound system type truck. I looked, I was like, hold on, that is a regular, these dudes jumped on the regular tow truck. Like, I really was watching the videos on Talbot Ave, and I'm telling you, I was a hater. I wanted to be out there. I did. I wanted to be out on Talbot Ave. I should have went. I could have went. I didn't go. I was trying to be responsible. I didn't have a mask. But I wanted to shake my ass. But I was super jealous. Like, y'all look like you had so much fun. We're not even going to get into that. All I'm going to say is I hope y'all get tested. I do. Like, I am truly interested if there was somebody responsible out there taking names and numbers for COVID tracing. That should have been my excuse. I should have been out there with a clipboard taking name and numbers for COVID testing, COVID tracing. That should have been my excuse for being in the place. But like everyone else, they were unable to celebrate Carnival because they weren't on top of that. I just want to be an asshole. I'm sorry. The shortened census, we spoke about this earlier, but I just want to reiterate. We spoke with Ayanna Presley yesterday, and she was talking about making sure you fill out the census, because the census will allow us up to $2,300 per person to get more funding and more resources in our communities. And so it's super important for you to fill out the census. You can fill it out online. You can call. You know what? I'm not just going to blindly lead you into the darkness. How do I fill out census? You can complete the census. I'm not just going to lead you into darkness, baby. I'm going to lead you to the way. So the 2020 census asks a few simple questions about you and everyone who is living with you on April 1st, 2020. To complete your form online, by phone, or by mail, when your invitation to respond arrives, you can visit My 2020 Census to begin. You can respond online. You can respond by phone. Hold on, let me get the phone number for you, because we're going to be responsible in sharing the information. So for English, it's 844-330-2020. Again, 844-300-2020. And they are available. English and Spanish language hours of operation are available from 7 a.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And if you need any other language, they have a long list of those as well. You can request a call back and they will give you a call back. If you did not get your letter thing in the mail and you have no idea how to complete a census, give them a call and let them know whatever your issue is. 844-330-2020. Okay? So $2,300, if you were super excited about that $1,200 stimulus check, you need to be just as excited as the census form, because that is what's going to properly fund our schools so that your school can do what they're supposed to do and give your children the supplies that they need in order to fulfill their education, instead of teachers buying supplies. Fill out the census so we can get all of the money that we absolutely deserve. From there, Lafayette, Louisiana, where police recently shot and killed a black man, says it would not shelter hurricane evacuees because of outside agitators, which is absolutely stupid. We are not in a position to safeguard people displaced by Laura. We know that bad actors will take our hospitality and use it against us. So listen, because we can account, because we know that bad apples exist, we're just going to let the whole tree rot. Everybody that is displaced, we're just going to leave them all homeless because of a couple agitators, period. And so that is absolutely asinine to even, it's stupid. It's dumb. Like, instead of leaving people out in the cold, bring everybody in. And if you violate, you get kicked out. How about that? A little common sense, just a little bit. Oh, wow. Today, if you are on Google honors Black cartoonist and activist Jackie Orms with a new doodle. If you go to the Google.com, that little thing that's in the middle, today they are honoring Jackie Orms. Orms, who is widely recognized as the first and only Black female newspaper cartoonist of her time in the United States. According to Google, each slide pays homage to a stage in Orms' life, starting with her beginning as a self-taught artist and evolved into a cartoonist and humorist. Google chose Tuesday to honor Orms because September 1st, 1945, her single panel cartoon Patty Joe in Ginger debuted in the Pittsburgh Courier. The drawings introduced the world to a smart, fashionable Ginger and her precocious 6-year-old sister, Patty Joe. And I can imagine your grandparents are familiar because, again, 1940s was a while ago, but shout out to the first Black female cartoonist, Jackie Orms, who was self-made from the beginning. And so since we are coming to the top of the hour, I am Tayla Andre. You have woken up with Tayla Andre. Hopefully you learned something today, because I'm not here to just run my mouth. Like, I really want for you to have learned something, for you to have gained some knowledge that you can implement into your life. With some unorthodox conversations leading to universal consciousness, some complaining, some understanding why we complain as parents. And, I'm still open to the conversation of, as far as, does your mama complain, or is she making valid statements? You got to ask yourself. 617-459-0041 is my direct line. If you know anybody looking to buy or sell real estate in Massachusetts or Georgia, I am your real estate agent, Tayla Andre, for everything Tayla Andre, including this beautiful Soul Naked. And so y'all know I'm a nudist, right? I created this t-shirt that is a Black woman meditating with an afro, and her chakras are aligned and her soul is naked because she is soul naked. Like, I truly believe I am. Everything Tayla Andre, Tayla Andre. Make sure you go out and vote, baby. Today is the day that you go vote. Be a super voter. And if you don't like who's on the ballot, fill in the little bubble and write your name in, or you can write Tayla Andre. I accept. You don't know what a judge, like as far as the judge is concerned, write somebody in. If you don't know who the senator is, write something. Like, you don't have to. You can do your due diligence. No one is rushing you. You can Google really quickly, like where, when you take a look at the form, it'll say their name, it'll say their address, and it says what they're running for. You can go ahead and take your phone, Google them, see a Ballotpedia. And so if you go to Ballotpedia tells you a little bit about them, what they believe in, things that they voted for in the past. If they're an incumbent, and an incumbent is somebody who held the position previously versus who's running against them. If it's someone who's running against them, we really don't know their track record because they haven't been in the building doing anything. So we don't know anything. Oh, that was hair. Do your due diligence. Please go out and vote. Please go out and vote. Please go out and vote. In the state of Massachusetts, you have up to 2 hours. Your employer cannot fire you because you chose to come in late or you chose to leave early. You do have to communicate that you are leaving early to go vote. You have to communicate that you are coming in late to go vote, but you cannot be held responsible or accountable for time missed when on election day. So I just want you to know that. You can vote. Polls are open until, I believe, 7 p.m. this evening. And so even if you get off at 5 p.m., I know you're going to be tired. I know you don't want to go into the polling stations. I understand. But we, the people, need you to use your voice because you get your taxes taken out of your check every week, every 2 weeks, every month. Whenever you get a check, they take their taxes. And so you demanding where that money goes is you going to the polls. I thank you. I love you. I appreciate you. Everything Tayla Andre, Tayla Andre.